Latest word tonight is that Speaker Nancy Pelosi will not say if the House is conducting an impeachment inquiry or just investigating. She keeps saying that impeachment as an outcome is, quote, a possibility. She appears to be downplaying the Judiciary Committee's new moves to ready the rules that would guide potential impeachment hearings. Chairman Nadler has scheduled a vote Thursday to define parameters. One of the members on that committee, Steve Cohen, has been itching to get this going since the beginning of time, it feels to me. He joins us now. Good to see you, Congressman. Welcome back.
Thank you, Chris. Good to be with you.
So let's test this. First, what is this vote? We expect it somewhere maybe around Thursday. Why does it matter?
It matters because it formally sets up a House Judiciary inquiry into impeachment of Donald J. Trump. And it sets out the same parameters as were existent under the Republican team that had the Clinton impeachment and the Democratic team when the Nixon impeachment came up.
All right.
Same rules.
So 2 reasons not to do it, just to test the idea. First is Nancy Pelosi doesn't seem happy about it. She says investigating is enough. The people have not said overwhelmingly that that is what they want. And she seems to have a sensitivity about whether or not this works for you guys going into the election.
Well, first of all, my newspaper in Memphis used to be owned by Scripps Howard, and they had some motto about give light and the people will see the way. The Congress needs to give light and the people will see the way. We saw it in the Nixon impeachment hearings. 17% approval when they started, over 60% when they finished. We need to investigate. We have a responsibility. We have a duty, and we're going to pursue that and do that now.
But we were flooded with the Klieg lights of the Mueller probe and all kinds of things going on. So it's not apples to apples where people were during the Nixon administration and those proceedings. But another, maybe a little in the weeds, but not for this audience, is that you, by formalizing it and centralizing it in the Judiciary Committee, you wind up having a lot of these other committees that are looking into all of these different routes of intrigue surrounding this White House. They have to stop. Are you winding up centralizing it and therefore stopping efficiency?
I don't know if that's necessarily true, and I don't think they have to stop, and I don't think that we can't incorporate their hearings into an impeachment report. I think the Judiciary Committee could do that. But the bottom line is there is a cornucopia of instances of corruption and violations of the Constitution. We have a president who shreds the Constitution, has no rule, no law, no commandment that Moses passed down, nothing that will stop him from doing whatever he wants.
No crimes, not an agent of Russia, says Mr. Mueller, who everybody was supposed to respect.
Not a direct agent, but they had over 150 contacts with his campaign with Russians. They welcomed the interference. Trump even went on television, Russia, if you're listening. There was a reason he said that, because he knew they were listening. They had people who could contact different places. We'll find out. What's in the grand jury testimony that was redacted by Barr, Trump's Roy Cohn, may be the smoking gun or the arsenal or the garrison that breaks this thing free. There's a reason Barr redacted certain testimony. Some of it, I think, to protect Trump's sons. Others, we don't know. But he took it upon himself to redact testimony.
But you know grand jury, very, very sensitive. Let me ask you something, though. Here's
grand jury is sensitive, but every instance of the past, the Attorney General has joined with the Judiciary Committee in these type of instances to say, let them have it. And this time, he's not going to do it.
Well, Eric Holder didn't join about turning certain things over either. It's not unheard of for an AG to
There was not an
want
impeachment inquiry of Obama. This will be an impeachment inquiry.
Fair point. All right. Now, here's another thing that we'll see maybe not as pressing, but to me, every bit as important. The more you guys go down the road of impeachment, forget about the fact it's never going to happen in the Senate. It's almost impossible that anything really happens. I know Nancy Pelosi says that you're legislating, you're getting things done, but you won't get anything done with the Senate if this is happening, or maybe not at all. At this point, do you believe there's any chance that any meaningful legislation happens in this session that started today?
Not as long as Mitch McConnell is the leader of the Senate. Mitch McConnell has said he's the Grim Reaper. He said that's the graveyard. He has not passed a or even put on the floor for consideration 2 gun bills that we passed, one on background checks that 90-some-odd% of the public supports, one on the Charleston loophole, which I imagine is closer to 90% as well. He won't even let people vote on it. McConnell wants nothing to happen. He's happy with the way things are. He is an aider and abetter of Trump. And someday down the line, there's going to be a reckoning, and people will see that this was not only the worst president in the United States, but one of the worst human beings to ever grace this earth.
Well, I think
and
that
these
you just
people
answered
support
my
him
question.
with
But
him.
the idea of, if there's one thing that you can say about this president, he is transactional. But based on what you just said, there's zero chance he will be working with you on anything because you just broke one of the main rules. You take a shot at this president, there will be no swallowing of any type of bile. He's going to come at you. So the Democrats, basically, you seem to be saying, Congressman, have zero interest in working with this president.
There's no way to work with him. He hasn't worked with us on anything. He lies constantly. His word is zero. I didn't go to his inauguration. I didn't go to a State of the Union. The man is despicable. And there's no way you can negotiate, just like China knows and North Korea knows, that you can't negotiate with a person who lies and has no credibility. The United States is not seen on the globe with other world leaders the same way it used to be. People don't have respect for Trump. They like Americans. They can't understand how we elected such an unusual character as our president.
So what is the point? Hold on a second. But what is the point of even having a session then? Right now, is it just about impeachment for you guys?
Hopefully,
because Pelosi says she's legislating. How is she going to legislate if you guys won't work with the president to get a deal, which would make him say to Mitch McConnell, enough with the Grim Reaper bit. It's time to start breathing some life into some laws. Bring me some stuff.
We've passed ethics reform bills to clean up the swamp. The swamp is him, not us. He got the term. It's him. We've passed health care legislation. We've passed legislation on all kind of subjects. Guns, you name it. They won't touch any of it. They're not going to touch anything at all. All they want to do is approve judges who will be right-wing conservative judges.
But aren't you supposed to be down there to cut deals? Isn't that what you guys are supposed to do? Debate, get angry at each other, but then find common ground and get something done. That's why you put there, isn't it?
To some extent, but that was when you had a president who you could find common ground with. There's no common ground with this man. Nancy's gone to him. They wanted to have common ground on our transportation bill, infrastructure bill, and as soon as we said we're going to consider discussions about impeachment, he said there'll be nothing on infrastructure because he comes first in everything, not the country. And anything we've had, he wants to repeal the Affordable Care Act. He doesn't have anything to replace it with. He wants people not to have insurance. We want to keep the Affordable Care Act and reform it. He can't work with the man. There's no place he goes. He wants to destroy our environmental laws. He took us out of the Paris Climate Accords. He took us out of the Iran nuclear agreement. What's the result of that? That we don't show leadership to the world on climate change that threatens the next generation. We don't work on Iran, who's now developing a nuclear capability, which they wouldn't have if we'd have stayed in the agreement. I was just in Australia not long ago. Everybody there said, you don't go about deals with China unilaterally. You go with your allies as a group, and you go to the World Trade Organization for relief. This man doesn't know what the World Trade Organization is, or he doesn't care.
Here's the thing. Congressman, I hear your criticisms. However, if you do not win control of the Senate, if you do not win this next election, you guys are going to have some burden on your hands because you're going to have to figure out somehow to justify being in office if your goal is to get something done. But I hear what you're saying. I understand your arguments, and I appreciate you making them to my audience. We'll see what happens in this vote maybe Thursday, right?
I'm going to suggest to you, Chris, and
Yes,
you know
sir.
this better than me, I think Mario Cuomo would be with me. He would stand up to injustice, and he'd speak the truth to power. And that's what we need in this country.
Listen, I'm not much in the business of guessing what my dearly departed father would think.
He was a star. He was a hero.
He was a good man, but he was also, he said, hey, don't put a label on me except I am a progressive pragmatist. He knew he had to get things done. He taught it to his son. You can say a lot of bad things about my brother in politics. It always happens. The man knows how to get a deal done. And hopefully you guys will do that as well, because that's why you're there. Get things done for the American people. Steve Cohen, appreciate the good word about my father. Be well.
You're welcome. He was one of my heroes. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. Mine too.